Okay, folks, welcome back to where we left off. So I got something that I noticed today. I noticed it before, but it really kind of bothered me today. I'm surprised nobody has made a comment about it, and which leads me to believe that maybe other people are seeing things that I don't see, or I'm seeing things other people don't see. So what really bothers me is this video you guys are seeing. I'm up here in the top corner, and that's really the computer. That's the camera. It's on the computer. I got the computer off the left hand side here, and I got my phone that was connected through the Wi-Fi for for several years, until the last month. I have been connecting it through into the computer, which should give you a better quality video here in this main screen. However, every time I view it after the fact, the sound seems to be smooth, but the video is like it'll stop and then like catch up, and then it's like it hesitates. And I guess I'm seeing it, nobody else is, because it's kind of distracting to me. I'm surprised you guys haven't had a problem with it. Maybe it's just not that big of a deal, or maybe I'm seeing it, you guys aren't. So I'm not really sure what the situation is, but I found it really annoying. but um, but anyhow, you guys haven't commented on it, so I guess maybe it's not that big of a deal. But we've got we're gonna do the brickwork. I'm gonna do the brickwork on the house here, and I don't want to use red brick because it's just adding another color that just doesn't go really well in here. So let's see what we've got here. We've got this raw umber that we can tinker with a little bit. We're gonna do the darkest color that we have, and then we will build on it from that. I got two raw umbers. Well, that's a mistake, and they're both unopened. Well, that's a candidate for using that for sure. And another one's started. What is distracting to you? Well, if you look at the big screen, are you like this screen right here? That you can see this village, not the small one in the corner. Do you get a smooth thing, or like every 3 seconds it stops and plays catch up? When I go and watch a video afterwards, that's what I see. It's like glitchy and catches up. Let's use what's left of this Deco Art one, of this one that's already started. Maybe I'm the only one seeing it that way. Yeah, I'll look over here and it's like, what's stopped? And it's like, it'll like stop, it'll glitch and like play catch up a little bit. The sound seems to be smooth, even after I watch it after the fact. It seems so far tonight, don't really notice unless it freezes up. Okay, well, I'm just going to ignore the hell out of it. That's good news. Lord knows I have enough problems as it is when I'm not here. We don't need any problems here. And meaning at work, not really in the rest of the house either. How are you doing? Feeling good today? Are we having a good day today? One day closer to freedom. One day closer to freedom today. There's not much here. I only notice freezes and major lag problems. Okay, perfect. Barnes White. Welcome back. We need really bad. It's really been this dry in the valley since 1964. How do you know? You weren't alive. You're younger than I am. You're born in the 80s, weren't you? Sorry about that, man. I didn't have a good day, but I'm done with work. work has been. Hey, Glenn. From New Jersey. New Jersey reporting in. New Jersey is one of those states, whether it's deservedly or not, does not have a great reputation. I guess every state probably has a bad reputation for certain things. Early 80s. I remember the early 80s well. Pretty well. I've only been through New Jersey one time, and all I remember is empty warehouses, but I'm sure there's nice parts of it. But then reputations are probably, inaccurate. I'm really defensive about my state. You don't like Florida? Don't come here. We have too many bugs, and it's too damn hot here. Other than that, I like this place. Notice I didn't mention hurricanes because I don't have them here. Fortunately, they don't come here. And then that's also why it's a trek to get to the beach. It's all true. And mafiosos. Actually, mafiosos would be Spanish mob people. Just regular mob would be, the Italian mob. Who took... Okay, why is my hand sanitizer not here? Somebody's been sitting in my chair. We need that. Hold on, I'll be right back. Landschneck 1525. Well, I guess today's shitty day is translated into here too. Now we got all kinds of mistakes happening. I had a really fucking rough day at work. Actually, this year has really sucked. But, anyhow, enough of that. Landschneck. I got tired of typing that several years ago when I was painting Landschnecks. Landsknecht. Yeah. Painted several of those. Fun guys. Utah. Tucson. Why some places aren't named the way that they are. Okay, let's make sure we get all this stuff on here. We don't, off of this, we don't need any issues. All right, so we're going to try and use, this is the base color for the brick. Oh, actually, I gotta take a step back. Let's get rid of this before we have a bigger problem. This usually does not involve a lot of brain power, which is good because by this time I'm burned out. We need to do the grout color. use this sandstone. Trying to get the wife to move up around Towanda. Towanda doesn't sound like a place that's in Pennsylvania, but what do I know? It sounds like one of those ethnic Australian names. So I was thinking about it today. I had something that happened relatively recent here, and I realized, one of the things I need to bring up today is maybe a topic of discussion is things that you freely admit you're not good at. Hey, Justin. Things that always kick your ass, so to speak. And I'm not talking about just, let's do something. Let's get flow improver. I don't know. Some people about attending things in Historicon, sometimes it's too far. They'll be like, oh man, it's 2 hours, it's too far. I'm going to go ahead and just water this down. Go over this brick area. The problem with doing grout is it's counterintuitive to have a light color in a recess, but you kind of have to do that, or it doesn't really get the point across. And this is just for the grout part of it. I probably should just do one and see how it turns out, but I can paint my way out of it. I'm going to have to do a light color. Sweet house. Well, it was until, it got attacked. I've had this for so long, for many, 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 many years. And it's high time to do something with it. And this is going to be my June project of getting this done this month. And it should be relatively easy to do, considering we just started. No, Historicon's in, I don't know if it's ever been in Harrisburg, but it would have been before my time, Lancaster. I'm not going this year. Which is funny, the whole reason I wasn't going was because I was going to take this trip at the end of the year. And last week I found out that they canceled it. They canceled the cruise we were going on. I'm not too terribly disappointed, but it is kind of annoying when things change all the time, everywhere, and everything that we're doing all the time, constantly. And it just basically means that I have a hard time getting excited about any trip or anything that I take because it could cancel and change at the last minute. Mediocre war game figure painter. Well, I don't want to brag, but this is one of the things I'm the best at. But there's lots of things I suck at, unfortunately. One of them I encountered. Shuffling cards. I even watched a video. Maybe I just don't want... Maybe part of it is, you just don't want to do something bad enough. If you don't want to do something bad enough, you just don't even try and you just don't become good at it. I watched a video on how to shuffle cards. I guess I just don't want to do it bad enough. I suck at shuffling cards. I'm good at rolling the dice and keeping it on the table, but I suck at shuffling cards. The thing that brought it to mind, what the subject was, cling wrap. You know, when you've got food left over and you say, hey, go ahead and wrap it and put it in the refrigerator. I must have a negative polarity to cling wrap. I cannot get it to work. I absolutely cannot get it to work. Drives me bananas. Shuffling cards, what else? Like I said, things you freely want to admit. I'm sure there's things that probably suck at that none of us want to admit. You suck at knitting. Me too, but I've never tried it, so I guess that I can't count that. And then there's stuff that, there's stuff that everybody's really proud of, being really good at. And, we can't all be good at everything. But the thing I'm probably the most proud of is just freaking directions. I've got that in my blood. I got that from my dad. I never get lost and shit like that. Okay, we just give this thing a second coating. It should be good. And we're going to go over this with brown. I think this is going to work well. I got pretty confidence that this will turn out okay. Another one tried to escape over here. I see you. Okay, that one. These. We'll do the ones on the house first. There's some that are lurking here on the ground of the same thing. So we'll worry about the ones on the house first. Tend to paint decent tabletop standard. If I'm painting something I don't intend to game with, it'll turn up a notch. Start trying out miniatures once to stop chasing perfection in miniature painting. I gotta keep chasing perfection, otherwise there's no reason for me to do it. That's just me. I don't mind playing with other people's stuff that isn't, incredibly well detailed. Why did Michael Jackson get a divorce twice? Ooh, is this going to be like a Kevin joke? And we won't know what the punchline is? I don't know much about Michael Jackson. I don't remember that he was married. Justin's a Michael Jackson expert. I'm defer to your knowledge. I might have said this before, but what did I get the building? I don't remember. At the time that I got this, which would have been circa 1997, 98, 99, so one of those years, I was ordering a lot from Brookhurst Hobbies. He came home with a crayon on his collar. No, I don't say it that way, but I know somebody that does. Crane. He came home with a crayon on his collar. Famous people are weird. I don't understand why there's that many followers of folks that are famous, man. Famous people are into weird shit, It is not. It is a company called the Queen's Hussars. It's a company called the Queen's Hussars, and is now made by a company. No, this is now made by a company called Lancers Miniatures, and the pictures of it online don't look very good. This actually has some really great detail on this model, but you would know it just by looking at the online pictures. You wouldn't know that. All right, so this is what we're going to start with. We'll probably pick up some of these couple of these bricks in different colors, but let's just start with this. Probably should switch glasses. Let me go ahead and do that. Those are just readers. These are... Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is much better here. You can see that would be the centerpiece terrain for item for skirmish small tactical gaming. Yeah, this is probably going to go on like in the first scenario, probably like a 3 foot by 3 foot table. Pretty small table. I wish it wasn't destroyed, or at least I thought originally I wish it wasn't destroyed, but maybe it's a blessing. This is just craft paint. Works just fine for this. You could barely make it out. This light that I'm using is just, it is so strong. It is so strong, it has enormous amount of kickback. But this is a relatively dark brown. I figure there's probably no color on any of the bricks that I'm going to use that's darker than this color. And that's how I like to paint. I start dark and work my way up from that way. Painting Imperial Japanese Army figures in 28mm. They're from Sons of Yamato Kickstarter. Excellent. Have you painted any landscapes before? Hopefully with that name. TV's boring? Oh, heck yeah. TV's terrible. Especially these, everything's like a reality show, but it's all staged and fake. It's like wrestling. You wrestling fans should be happy. Oh no, here we go. TVs are fake, the news is fake. I just turn it on. They're all getting people all riled up about some other disease that you need to hide under your bed over. Never happy unless they're causing turmoil for the rest of us. Why are you shooting my way? What did I do to deserve this? Oh, I just said like wrestling. It's staged. You know that. It's pre-figured out. All the other reality shows are programmed as well. Do female wrestlers also put their underwear on the outside of their clothes, or is that just the male wrestlers? I don't know. I'm asking. Okay, sorry about that. It was unexpected. I've got somebody, I got my daughter that had a procedure done, and it wasn't anything life threatening, but she's laid up in a bed for a few days and had to move her and stuff. So we're back. Da, 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 da. Now you went the other way, and now you're a nurse. Nursing people to health. Okay. Where were we? Let's see if we missed. Okay, we got the basic color on that one. We got the basic color on this one. Okay. Oh, this is where we were. We needed to do that. Let's see here. So if I disappear again, well, that's what it is. I have to. So weed helped me quit drinking alcohol. I don't drink enough alcohol to have to quit. I don't drink enough. All right. And we're gonna paint a couple of these in a different color. They'll be lightened up some. My weight loss plan would just be live on a cruise ship, because I usually lose a couple pounds when I go for a cruise. Do a fair amount of walking. Food's available everywhere, so you don't feel like you got at all times. You don't feel like you have to eat it. So like, oh, it's lunchtime. Well, I'm not going to get to eat for another however many hours. Let's just pig out. You hate the taste of pop or soda. All of them? Okay. I don't like the taste of coffee. But it's getting shit done. Never given up on ginger ale. Yeah. Different people are different stuff. I won't smoke anything because I was a smoker for 8 years. Of course, I haven't quit since I've quit since March 28th, 1998. Those things will take over your whole life and you don't even know it. It's like another lifetime. First thing you notice when I quit was you go to restaurants and you smell like food. Cold iced tea. I like iced tea. Sugar makes me angry though. It really does. Everything's going fine, that's fine. As soon as it makes me really irritable. Really irritable. Just like some people say, oh, they can't drink whiskey because they get angry. I love everybody when I have alcohol. Even my enemies. I was going through a little town. I was at lunch the other day. There was this big sign that says it was promoting Christianity or whatever in the manner of what did it say? It says true Christians love, and it even said big love. Did it say enemies or did it say their nemesis? I don't know what it was. It was something like that. I'm like, well, the only way I could do that is if I was drinking. How do you drink? Drinking dark soda, dark drinks because of kidney stones. Had to give up caffeinated and sugar drinks. I could give up sugar, but caffeine, man. Caffeine is my master. I drink diet ginger ale, which has no sugar in. Also don't drink any caffeine in any form. I'm not giving that up unless I have to. Can't quit everything, damn it. Like if I can't have a charge of caffeine, I'm not going to work. F it. I can't solve all the world's problems without fire support. Okay, I think that's that. Let's get a little bit of white in here and let's see what white does to this one before I get too far along. Alcohol makes you mad. Weed makes me relaxed after a hard day. Hey, whatever works for you. As long as I don't have to smell it. I do know two people, though, that really got into weed and it totally changed them. And it wasn't for the better. I'm not saying everybody's that way, but the two people that I know, it turned them into a completely different individual that I didn't want to be around. You know, one guy's like, didn't care about anything all of a sudden. Almost to the point like, dude, man, you shit your pants. Ah, whatever. I'll get it later. Maybe a little too relaxed. Let's see what happens with this. Yeah, we could work with that. We could work with that color. Let's pick a couple different ones off in this. Hot coffee in the morning. Oh, I can't stand drinking anything hot. My internal body temperature is like 211 degrees Fahrenheit. I was even up in the mountains in Breckenridge. It was under freezing and I'm still having my iced coffee. I'm not really going to get the gist of what I'm doing here until I add a few more colors to this. Buddy Greg from Australia said this thing that was the number of this. He seems to think that this is the age that the house was built in, 1760. I don't know, maybe houses in World War II didn't have house numbers at that point. That's pretty freaking old, man. On this episode of This Old House, we gotta fix this thing from a freaking bombing run. All these spoiled Americans talking about ice. I'm an ice whore myself. I love this stuff. I never drink anything hot though. Unless it's like soup, but technically, do you drink soup or do you eat it? Depends how thick it is. Problem with drinking hot things is they always make them like too freaking hot. Like, thanks for the scalding tongue, asshole, you know? So now I gotta put creamer in coffee because I'm in my early 50s and all of a sudden my stomach decides that, oh, that's a little too much acid for me. I think we're gonna need to do these same rocks down here at the bottom. Tie them in. Well, this little wall actually is starting to look pretty good. All right, let's add a little bit more white on here. And I know it could be using on something plastic, but I got this cardboard thing, so if it soaks up some of this stuff, it soaks up some of this stuff. I caught a video the other day that, you know, I am not a fan of telling people what to do, and likewise, I don't like people telling me what to fucking do. Because not only that, but now I'm not going to do it just to spite you. You're not the boss of me, mother... Anyhow, this video I came across is something titled something like dry brush. You've been dry brushing. You've been doing it wrong. I'm like, all right, smarty pants. What do you think I've been doing wrong? There's this guy who did a video that basically said that you shouldn't use cardboard or anything. You make yourself almost like a palette of like junk pieces, and then dry brush over that, and then that way you get the. I said that's all fine and dandy, but I don't have a bunch of junk pieces, and I don't really need things that are going to clutter I'll look at other people's ideas and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that sounds good on paper, but you know, you do it. No, I don't really care how other people do their hobby as long as they enjoy it. Yes, get an idea. God, it's so. All right, I need to see if I can simmer down this. It's just too bright. Let's see. It's this. Is it this one? Yeah, this is the one. Okay, let's go and what can we do? Let me bring up the Droid Cam app here. I think this is where the problem is. Okay, not autofocus. Let's do this. See what we have. Brightness. It's just too damn. What's this do? Well, that's a little bit better. Now let's look at that brick. That's probably a little bit more representative. Hey Tony, there's a question for you and everyone in the chat. If you were just starting out in miniature wargaming, what period would we start with? Whatever you're interested in. I don't do Napoleonics because I'm not interested in Napoleonic history. Case of wargaming period is very wide. Recommending choose a period fast dates and good resources. Yeah, whatever you're interested in, you know. So for me, it was World War II. There's no doubt about it. That's the kind of movies I enjoyed watching growing up. You know. Now, I got this one guy that I know, and he supposedly has a doctorate. He's a teacher. He's a history teacher. He has a doctorate, and he got it in Napoleonics, and he won't play Napoleonic games. And that may not make sense to a lot of people, but it makes sense to me. Because I'm a World War II nut. And I am really particular about the World War II rules I play because they got to have a certain amount of detail, or I'm just not interested in playing them. You know, don't ask me to play Bolt Action or Flames of War, or they just don't cut it for me. I'm sure they're fine games, but you know, not my thing. Or you know, it simulates a level of game that you don't want to. You know, and maybe you play Napoleonics and it's your period, and you don't like anything except playing Empire. You know, and then you got somebody that plays what's that new set that Boyd came out with recently? Absolute Emperor, which is on the opposite end of Empire, and it's just two totally incompatible things. You know, so it's got to be a period that you're interested in, and it's got to make decisions that you're interested in making in that period of interest. You know, I love World War II, but I don't want to be Eisenhower. I don't want to make Eisenhower-like decisions. Likewise, I don't want to be Hitler. You know, I don't want to play Advanced Rise and Decline of the Third Reich. It doesn't interest me. So, is the game a period you're interested in, and does it simulate what you want to take part in? Okay, I think what we needed less bricks that were as super brown. So let's tinker with that a little bit. Because these bricks were been inside of a. If this is 1760, these bricks have been inside of a wall for a long time. Until this war. So it depends what you're interested in, you know? You prefer grand tactical where you're commanding an army. Well, there you go. I don't mind it if you're playing something like DBA, Ancients, but World War II, absolutely not. Because you're not going to have the detail between the different vehicles. Oh, it's a Panzer III. Which one? It's the one with the short barrel. Which one? You know, I'm going to be here all day. You know, is it an F? Is it a G? Is it an H? Is it a short barrel J? Sorry, it's just my religion. That's what I want. That's what's important to me. You know, I don't want to play one that... I was playing Flames of War the other day, and it's like, yeah, it's just a long barrel 3. Well, which one? Is it an N? Is it a J? It doesn't matter. As it does to me. You're not going to get me to build stuff for a game that's that vague. I'll play it, but I'm not going to, you know, jump through hoops and build units for a game that just doesn't get my juices flowing. One of the things I liked about DBA was the wide variety of ancient armies I could play with. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of very specific history about the nations playing DBA for so many years. And I was always a history major, so it's not like, you know, if somebody said the Parthians, I knew who the Parthians were. And I knew that they were mainly, you know, horse archers, even before I played DBA. You know, the old 1/35th scale modeler in me can't just play generic things like that. That's fine, by the same token, I don't have to force other people to play it, you know? Okay, we did this. We kind of had this to this all kind of at one level. However, one thing we have forgotten is this roof. There's brick things here too. One thing I hate about war games is people that'll read the rules and never play it, and they want to argue about the rules that they've never played. And I try to get things right, but sometimes, you know, we're all human. We're going to get things wrong, but you know, I don't think a whole lot of somebody who's just read the rules and never played it. And from now on out, everything I play from now on will not be a tournament. Which the only reason I play the tournament is so I can play with my own shit. Reason to collect them. And it'll be if there's something in the rules that we don't agree with, we're going to change it. I don't care. I bought the rules. I'm playing them however damn well I please. It's not Games Workshop. You got to play them with these figures and you got to play them this way. Nope. I ain't got to do nothing. Nerd burglar. There it is. First nerd burglar of the day. The first nerd burgle. Technically, I said it 3 times. Oh, come on, man. Get a life. The first time, then 2 times referencing the first time. Jeez, man. You're lawyer material. And I don't mean that as a compliment. Okay. Should have been a lawyer. The world does not need any more. We do away with lawyers and go back to doing duels. There's more honor in that society. You get rid of half the problems, only one guy walks away. Perfect. Well, at this point, I almost ought to do the windows. I know the windows. I'm gonna want to do those in white. I don't know if I want to do the frames also in white. The inside window we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and paint that. F it. And because I'm lazy. Nah, let's use black. Let's use black to darken this. Do we have one handy around here somewhere? Just disregard the grinding sounds. That's just some pesky neighbors that needed to teach a lesson, and we're grinding them into bits. Ew. Good thing the door's closed. Oh, really? Got that all over me. That's the worst thing about craft paints, these containers that come in. I'd use the top of like a plastic container, but I don't have one of those handy. It's not that important. Do I believe the Nazis had an Arctic base? I don't know if it's a question of faith. I think it's amazing that the Nazis did as much damage, I almost said as well as they did. That's probably a bad choice. You know, and I make the mistake, I use this all the time. I said, oh, you're just such a Nazi about detail. The problem is that's just a really misnomer. they weren't really good at a lot of things. And intelligence is one of them, like spying and shit like that. They had all kinds of problems. I'm going to go ahead and do this frame also in the same color. And I can come back and fix that and change that if I don't want to. But at least start working my way there. Yeah, and I'm probably not going to leave it that color. But we don't want it black either. We're working our way there. Having fun with this. They had an outpost out there in Spitsbergen, right? Spitsbeugen. Just the main house right here. Some of these places are just downright difficult to reach, but we're kind of painting this detailed but also impressionistic a little bit. So I've been pretty happy with how that's turned out. Did I ever see the show Hunting Hitler? I have not. I'm not a big Hitler fan, and obviously, just about everybody's not a Hitler fan. But what I meant is, I'm just not really interested in the high level kind of stuff on there. So I have not. I kind of just not really interested in that. Political stuff, I'm just not. Just doesn't interest me. I can't be into everything. Wise man once said, can't be into everything. No, just like, you ever heard those killing books that Bill O'Reilly did? Well, the Killing Reagan's actually a really good one, and I saw the Killing Patton. I don't want to read the Killing the SS. It just doesn't interest me, you know. So I'm not interested in everything World War II. Spitsbergen, Burr Island, northeast corner of Greenland. Really? Greenland, huh? So, SS stuff, not interested in them either. Political stuff, anything like, assassinating Heydrich. It's too political. It's not, combat oriented, which is what is my interest is in. All right. We know for a fact we're going to do the inside one. The inside this in white. That seems to be kind of a common theme. So let me try this. I think I can probably get away with doing this now. I want it to be flat. I don't want it to be scooped in there. Let's see if I've got something laying around here that I could use as a quickie palette. Yeah, I know exactly what I use. Here's another building I have. I think this is a hovels. You guys may know what this is. This one doesn't have a bottom, so I'm going to have to create some kind of a bottom so at least there's like a floor plan when people are moving around this bottom one. Just one little floor there. I don't have a ton of buildings, I just have a few, so. I'm not painting anything in the center of them. It's just going to leave it black. That's a detail too far. We're going to go in there with a lighter color. Spy stations. I have people that are convinced that Chinese buffets are spy stations for Red China. Well, if they are, they won't get any information from me because I don't go to them. Listening posts. I ain't dial this down one little bit. Like the Middle Eastern restaurants. Well, I don't know about that, but there aren't that many Middle Eastern restaurants. At least not here. You're up in Michigan. There's a lot more up there. There's no Middle Eastern restaurants here. You guys have a bunch of those up in Michigan. Which is kind of strange because Michigan doesn't really have weather that those people are familiar with, you know? You think they would go out to like Arizona or something like that. That would be more weather that they're familiar with. You do Renaissance Italy? I would hope you do Renaissance Italy with that name. Feudal Japan, World War II, Western gunfight games, Blood and Plunder, and French and Indian War. I only played Blood and Steel. I've never played Blood and Plunder. I'm not much of a Pirates fan. That period just doesn't interest me. Everybody starts wearing buckles on their shoes. I kind of tune out. But it is all about the history, because if they only made war games that were only American Civil War, I wouldn't play war games. Because I'm just not interested in that period. Although somebody did post on Facebook, I think today, they had like a 1/600 scale set of, I think they had like a Fort Sumter and like some Confederate ships and some Union ironclads, and it looked pretty sweet, despite me not liking the war. I don't like any wars. I'm just saying not interested in the war. But that set that guy did, they were really well painted. Okay. This one. An excuse to drink rum and act like Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the fascination is with the pirates. I mean, if you're into it, lucky you, but I haven't played too many Western games. The Western games I have played, I have enjoyed, even though it's not a movie type that I used to watch as a kid. You know, my dad didn't like Westerns, so I didn't like Westerns. You know, you get stuff from your parents, I mean, from your dad, assuming you know who your dad is. There's always that caveat. And my dad didn't like Westerns, so I wasn't into them. See how we're getting the window to look there? Some things you figure out on your own that you like, and sometimes you're influenced definitely by your folks. it or not? This is just a regular house. If this was a shop or something like that, I could see maybe doing red. Window treatment or something like that. But this is somebody's house, man. You don't want to have a... You can't do stuff like that, man. The association would get all over your shit, having red windows and stuff like that. They'll put a lien on your house. You know, one thing that's easy to remember, easy to forget, if you don't think about it, is the Germans were occupying France for 4 years. That's a long time. That's a long time. From the standpoint of World War II, like somebody was there along, basically the whole war. Except maybe, a year total. Half a year between the time the war started and then went into France, or so, maybe closer to a year, and then the last few years of the war. Last few months of the war. All right, let's use this pure white here. No associations by you. Yeah, they're good and bad. I mean, the problem is they usually go into they don't do anything about a situation and it just spirals out of control. Or they're all in your shit when they don't need to be. Like, you gotta weed there, there's a big difference between, you got a few weeds in your yard and folks that don't mow their lawn ever. Or we had some people that lived right down the street, on my street, and they had planted a crop of melons. And then I live in a suburb, subdivision that has a name. The name of the subdivision is by the entrance. We have an association. We have association dues and a community pool and stuff like that. So you can't really do whatever the hell you want. Well, these people 3 doors down decided to plant an entire melon patch. Their entire front yard was a melon patch, all in their front yard. So you'd have it was just like, it looked like something out of... It just didn't belong there. And they just kept sending them fines, but if they don't, you don't move, put a lien on your house, what good does it do, If we don't get rain, I won't have to worry about mowing lawns because they'll both be dead. Yeah, and now we're to the point where it's raining here most days. When it didn't rain here at all, it was raining over in your place all the time. The pattern is there's no pattern. You never mow your lawn, it's all gravel. Man, you're lucky. This last year is the first time in my life I don't mow my own lawn. I always did. And it's just too difficult. Like, okay, well, all right, well, I'll mow after work. We're going out for the weekend, so you can't mow. And, you got to do it after work. And if it rains every day after work, then you can't mow. It's like you're basically Mother Nature's bitch, the whole time. The only time I was in Florida was in June, and it rained every day. Yep. Only time you're in Florida. What happened? They kick you out? What's that name of that amazing grocery store you guys have up there? Wegmans. Holy smokes. Mitch is in love with that place. Of course, he works at a grocery store. He works at a part of a grocery store. It's always cold, and he's somebody that's always cold. I work somewhere that's hot, and I'm always hot. Isn't irony great? Rain's about 2 months out of the year here. Where the hell are you again? Oh, Tucson. Yeah. I can only imagine what kind of restaurants there are in Tucson. When I went to Colorado, I'm like, okay, Colorado will have lots of steak and all kinds of stuff. Oh no, it's like Mexican food everywhere. I'm like, okay, I've had my fill of that. Not really a fan of Mexican food. I'm okay with Tex-Mex, but real Mexican food, no. By me, you have a choice to cut or not cut the grass. I cut half my lawn, rest is pine trees and maple trees. So this last couple years, come to realize I really don't want to have neighbors. The problem with neighbors is you got some folks that act like they don't have any neighbors and misbehave and shit. Sonoran hot dogs. Dude, that could be so many things. 2 acres. That's a lot of land, as far as I'm concerned. It isn't for some people, but Sonoran hot dog, yeah. Orale. Should look up Sonoran hot dog on. Have ever gone deep sea fishing? I don't know what you mean about deep sea fishing, but we did go. We didn't go like super deep, but yeah, we went in the Pacific and we caught marlin and mahi, and in Mexico. And I guess it's deep. I think of deep sea fishing, and I'm like, pulling up stuff that you don't see any. That's blind, right? All those blind things. Fishing offshore in a boat, absolutely. Yep. I don't really know anything about fishing, but I do enjoy it, as long as it's salt water. Although I'll be honest with you, one thing I do not enjoy is when that ship goes up on a plane. When you got a motorboat and it's going so fast that it's hardly any of it is in the water. I have trust issues with it, and I've had several situations that happened with people that weren't being super crazy that caused the ship out to almost flip over. So I'm kind of scarred as far as that goes. So And I'm not worried about falling into the water. I'm worried about hitting something, getting knocked unconscious, then falling into the water. But other than that, the actual ocean I'm not scared of. Just people doing stupid shit on it. But yes, I have, and I'm a fan. Only time I have shot to do that was 4, and my grandfather took me to the shore, but the weather was bad. We camped out, went to bed, woke up a day later on the couch with chickenpox. I've driven pontoon and speedboats on large river, but never on open water. Yeah. I would feel a lot better if I was the one that was piloting the ship, you know what I'm saying? Because I like to know when to say, you can have fun and, you know, you don't have to be crazy. I'm not really a freshwater fan. Can't really speak for like the Great Lakes or something like that. I know that freshwater here in Florida is terrible. It's not clear, it's murky, and it's just not worth being inside of. Forget the critters that may or may not be in there. It's just, you know, being in a dark lake is just like, you know, not really exciting. I prefer the open water. We had some good time scalloping. That's a lot of fun. And they're yummy too. You accidentally gunned it on the pontoon boat at the start, but quickly eased off and didn't have an issue later. Yep. Some people are out there trying to prove something. It's like, that's just the wrong time to do that, you know? Just like you could have a really fun, fast car, it doesn't mean you have to drive like an idiot, you know? Try going to the Jersey Shore. The water is dank and murky. It's probably too cold for my butt. I don't do cold water. Cold weather, absolutely. Bring it. Cold water, mm-mm. Yeah, I need to bring it up a little bit more. Boats I piloted were not mine, but they were family members' boats. I was shocked at me drive them. I never have driven a boat before that point. Well, all you gotta do is just be careful, you know, not bite off more than you can chew. Some people are like, hey, watch this. Like I said, you could have fun. Being safe. You have any Civil War general figures that look like the particular folks, or they're just generic looking? Who are the good Union generals, other than, I mean, as far as quality of leadership? Sherman, Grant, who's the other one? Is that it? generic looking. Mead. I get Mead and McClellan mixed up because they're M names and they're both union and I don't know anything. I don't know any better. Hancock. Okay. Reynolds. I haven't heard his name before. What about Burnside? Wasn't Burnside a Yankee general? I imagine it. You come up with some hairstyle, a sideburn style, and the next thing you know, they name them all after you. That's pretty impressive. Didn't they name sideburns after him? Or maybe I'm just making shit up. I don't mean to make it shit up. It sounds like that's the right story. Burnside was terrible. Okay. I'll take you guys' word for it. I really do not know. The sideburns were too big. You couldn't see shit. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. But you can't just paint this color because it just ain't gonna work that way. You have to have those little different layers on there to give it some depth. Yeah, we take a look at those two windows there. There you go. Burnside was terrible. I'll take your word for it. I don't know. What about Hooker? Was he worth a damn, or he just hang out with the hookers for too long? Hooker wasn't bad. He just had a bad day at Chancellorsville. Chancellorsville sounds like one of those battles that had a second name. You know, like Shiloh and Antietam. See, I know so little about it. Is Shiloh and Antietam are the same battle, aren't they? This tells you how ignorant. See how ignorant Tony is of the American Civil War. Well, I'm genius level compared to people on the street about it, but that doesn't mean anything. People on the street are ignoramuses. They probably wouldn't even know who the hell fought the Civil War. The French. Nope. Not the American Civil War, they didn't. Winfield Scott was a good general, but was too old. Sounds like a politician. Winfield Scott. Certainly heard his name being thrown around. Sharpsburg and Antietam. Well, I know that Antietam. What's the other name for Shiloh? Shiloh's got another battle name, doesn't it? If somebody says name off some battlefields in the American Civil War, I would not have said Sharpsburg. It's not one that sticks in my mind. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the shutters. And yes, it's boring, but I'm going to do them in white because that's what a lot of these buildings had. I could always change it if I want to. I've seen a lot of pictures in this, and they seem to be Pittsburgh Landing. Man, I don't recognize that at all. War of 1812 hero and Mexican war hero. Oh man, no wonder. Yeah, he's pretty old, I'd say. War of 1812. That's the one of the easiest to forget about wars on this continent that I can think of. All right, but we're going to mix in, along with the white, Pittsburgh Nailing is the other name for Shiloh. I'm thinking of something else then. Oh well. I've heard of all those. I just didn't know that they have the same names as those. Not my period. And it's one of those that will probably never be my period because I don't enjoy wargaming it. And that's how you learn stuff, is playing war games. That's a way to learn stuff. Let's use a gray, but one of them that has some blue in it. Stuff here. Chancellorsville, Second and Bull. I wonder what battles it is. Oh well, I'm sure I'll look it up in a day or so, and I'll go, hey, the battle I was thinking of was such and such. Could the South have won the war? Or is it about as likely as the Germans winning the second one? Or it's just one of those that they were bound to lose unless the North gave up. North said, yeah, fine. Just Do your thing down there. We'll just stay out of it. Not a chance in hell. Just didn't have the manpower or infrastructure. What if the British help them? Of course they didn't. They were going to make money off of both sides. The South won't rise again. British should never help the South because of the institution of slavery. The Brits participated in slavery, or just because it wasn't trendy anymore. The South had little to no manufacturing. It was basically an agricultural society versus industrial one in the North. Well, I'm glad they didn't win. I had an old redneck dude I used to work with, and he was unapologetically Southern. Not from the South like me, but Southern. And even so, he said, I remember him saying, it said, if the South would have won, it would have been a communist country by now. Okay. If the South had won, the cell phone service in South Carolina would be really poor right now. It'd be worse. Well, for those of you guys that have Civil War troops, American Civil War troops, you guys are racist, according to the video. You're racist and I'm a Nazi, so I'll save you a spot on the train of political incorrectness. I wish you could see how many, I guess you would have to be proactive. See how many views some of these channels have had this crazy controversial material just lost just by them being just unreasonable. Unreasonable. Funny thing is, Tony, if I met that dude face to face, I'd tell him I'd rather be a Nazi for being a historical war gamer. I would be an adulterer who abandons his family and brags about it. Yeah, that's not cool. How'd you find out about that? I'm not doubting you. I mean, there's a lot of people that have that problem, and I got a guy that I work with. He was an older dude, and he was an older dude that came from and was born in the same island my dad came from. And you would think that they came from two different freaking solar systems, because those two people are nothing alike. Absolutely nothing alike. And once I found out this guy was like bragging about cheating on his wife, I don't want to have nothing to do with him. That is not cool. You know, if you want to disrespect the people that you're with, man, get rid of them. Get a divorce, man. Go, I get it. It doesn't always work out, but that's not cool, man, because you guys are a team, and you're making your freaking team look like shit if you do shit like that. Lots of people do it, and somehow they think it's cool or something. I agree with you. It's not cool. Uncool. He posted on Twitter bragging about it. People screenshot it a few months ago. I probably got a ton of views on this video. I don't want those kind of views. Especially for being fake, and you're just getting it for the views, man. One of the coolest things, I haven't met many famous people, and that's just fine. But one of the coolest people I ever met that was even remotely famous is a guy that has a car show on YouTube. I've watched, as a matter of fact, the reviews that he did on the vehicle that I ended up leasing last was because of a review that he did on it. And I told him, I met him at a car event. I said, what I really liked about meeting him was he seemed to be exactly the same way that he is on his video, and I really appreciate that a lot. I am not a fake person. I am proud in who I am, and I would like to think that if you ever meet me on the street, I'd be the same way that I do these videos at. It's just too difficult trying to be something that you're not. And I was really surprised, because a lot of like these, Hollyweird types, they could be a totally different person. And sometimes they could be a better person than they are in some of their characters, but sometimes it isn't. Yeah, it's not cool. But that's not about being conservative or liberal or anything like that. That's just unreasonable to think that if you paint troops of an army that everybody knows were rat bastards, somehow that makes you a rat bastard as well. But at the same time, these people like playing this fantasy game. It's like, oh, well, they're not real. I understand. But I didn't choose to make the Nazis murder millions of people. But yet I'm willing to learn about it. You specifically picked a game that is made up, and they do horrible genocidal things as well, and they could have just as easily not done that. It'd be like somebody saying, well, I can't watch war movies because they're horrible. But then they go and watch, things like The Nun, things that involve, make-believe things with people that don't deserve something coming and getting hurt, in horrible ways. It's like, that's like sick and twisted, you can be consistent. I'm always floored by stuff like that. I know lots of people that they won't go on roller coasters, because they're too scary. But then they'll watch like demon possessions and shit like that, like stuff that's fucked up, and then you can't sleep at night. It's not anything I believe in. It just gets in your freaking head, man. What ideas do you have about generating game scenarios, World War II small game tactics? I don't know, but it's all about the narrative. One thing, I don't want to give any ideas about these particular guys that I'm doing, but you can have multiple people on one side, and they can have individual objectives that could be at odds with the other people that they're supposedly on the same team. So there's a game that is pretty popular at our game conventions here in Florida. It's called Pig Wars. And I don't know if this is in the rules. I've played it several times, 4 or 5 times. And it's a cool game because you have different objectives and stuff like that may not be readily apparent when you're playing the game. Like, you want to win, but you wouldn't mind if like one of the other leaders just happens to bite it as well, or you take his loot or stuff like that. So you can have those type of objectives in a team-oriented game, but it's mainly, you could have an objective. The first objective for this game is going to be steal a car. Something really simple. You go in there and you have to go steal a car, and and just see what happens. You don't need to take. It's like, well, do you think you won? Well, I don't know. Is it worth losing 8 guys to steal one car? You had 10 guys and you lost 8 of them. Do you think you won? Probably not. So it's not really, to me, it's not that important that the games are necessarily balanced. Just like if you're playing a role-playing game, is every role-playing game that you guys are running, is it balanced? No. Is it fun? Well, it's supposed to be, or the guys won't come back for any more. It's the same kind of thing. So you could do stuff like, you got to sabotage something. There's a video game, I don't know if you were on here the other night, there's a video game many years ago that I used to really like, although it didn't run really well on this computer I had, and it wasn't because I had an old computer. It was just that some things just aren't programmed and run really well. And it was a game called Hidden and Dangerous. And you basically played this group of British commandos that had missions behind enemy lines that could involve anything between, rescuing people to sabotaging something to, and like one of the missions I remember is they had to get a code book off the Tirpitz. Somehow they had sunk the Tirpitz, but it was still above the water somewhat. So you're fighting on this battleship. And it was kind of a mixed media between a first-person shooter and some isometric views. So it wasn't too unlike like a Grand Theft Auto game from the standpoint of the view, although you could go in a first person as well, and when you could hop between the players, but it was those type of missions, just really kind of, okay, you go in and you have to take out an aircraft vehicle, or just really specific. Pig War is outstanding. Your group has played it before and love the ability to have different, sometimes opposing objectives. Yes. Yep. I think there's a lot of merit in that. Where you hope something befalls one of your other co-players, but you can't go out and literally shoot them in the face. But like French partisans, right? Maybe some of you are free French and some of you are communist. You wouldn't mind if you're playing communist partisans, you wouldn't mind if something befell your other compatriots, something like that. But I'll be playing all of one side because that way your speeds up the play a lot. I'm not necessarily playing to win. I just want to tell a good story. Pig Wars. The guy who runs the Pig Wars here actually gives awards, and they're usually little pigs, and I got one. Let's see if I can reach it. Oh, a long time ago. It was before DBA. Something from the dollar store. Let's see what it says on the bottom. Pig Wars. Oh, it wasn't pre-DBA. 5/11/2007. I played a guy named Bjorn Thoresen, and I was a Viking looter. And I ended up backstabbing somebody at the last minute. So I got a Pig Wars thing. Little $1 thing from the dollar store, I'm guessing. Like you might have one player who doesn't advance far enough and leaves another guy hanging. Exactly. Exactly. You know, or like one guy wants to make sure he gets off the. You know, you can have different objectives. They don't necessarily have to be, you know. One guy maybe wants to get an MG42 or something like that. I don't know. You're only running 3 or 4 guys each person, so you know a death is pretty important. You know, you could play more complicated games like that, but you know they could drag on. And you got to start off small. You know, just like we played some Lion Rampant the other day. Okay, we didn't super complicate it. We're like, let's just do one army versus another army. We'll put some terrain out there, but it's not going to be in the middle, and just see what happens. You know, you've got to like crawl before you can walk. Otherwise, you'll get frustrated and may not go back to the game again because you bit off more than you could chew. I had one scenario that the guy that created, and I've talked about this one before, maybe you haven't heard me talk about it, but it was a scenario that this guy put together, and he knew that I always like the games that he puts on. He's actually the guy that put on a bunch of games of Lion Rampant last show, and I ended up playing it all Saturday. And because I knew I wanted to try the rules, so I'm like, well, let me do a deep dive into playing the game. And there were some things that he changed for the convention that plays different than the actual game. But anyhow, he did that for whatever reasons that he had for a convention game. But there's this Pig Wars convention game many years ago. Well, it was actually 2004 or 5 or something like that. He's like, I got a guy for you to play. I'm like, all right, I'll play. No, hold on a second. It was like 2006, I think, because it was the last time it was held in Tampa. And he's like, I got a character for you. And this was a scenario that was in Reconquista, in the time period of El Cid. So you had some people that played, you know, you had one guy that would play a Muslim cleric that was trying to get everybody riled up. And you had another guy that, you know, other warlords, and of course you have Christian warlords, and you know we had an overall Christian commander, and he's like, I got a guy for you to play. So he hands me this guy, and I forget what the guy's name is. It's a real guy in reality. I forget what it was, Alvar Fanez or something like that. But he's the El Cid's lieutenant, who is upset that the El Cid got falsely imprisoned in jail, and wants to get payback for his lord. And the guy that imprisoned him is the main commander on the Spanish side. So I positioned myself so that I could ambush him. But you know, after we accomplish the objectives of kicking the Muslim forces out of the town, I think it's what we needed to do, something like that. So he goes and charges in and does his thing, you know, and he's victorious with a heavy cavalry. And I basically hit him like in the rear afterwards and kill him. And the guy goes ballistic. The guy that's playing him is like, he doesn't understand that, you know, that's what my objective is to make sure that this guy gets what's coming to him. And he was so upset. I've never seen the guy again. And I'm like, I'm just playing the character, you know? If it says to do something different, I'm going to do something different. And I played along the whole time, you know, like I'm trying to, you know, take over the town as well. But I kind of worked it so that, you know, I could charge into his back when he was busy doing something else, and ended up killing the guy. And, and he was so upset. I hadn't seen him again. You know? It's different if you're just being a dick, but it's like, look, here's my objective, is to make sure that some harm comes to you. Well, you're dead now. Was that harm? Yeah, to the max. Harm to the max. But, yeah, I never saw him again. Had a hissy fit. Whatever, dude. But I think that's the meat and potatoes of the game, is that you've got these, everybody's kind of has their own agenda. So I think it's really well suited for the partisan thing. All right, let's put this together and see where we're at so far. See how all these pieces are coming together. Actually, we've done a lot of different things this evening. It's all furthering. We haven't even touched any of the stuff on the small building over here. This is going to fit. Don't really need to put this right here, but I will. None of that's painted. And we got a ways to go, but this is kind of getting some of the basic colors in there. We still have to bring these shutters back up a little bit more. Now, let me take these glasses off and see what the hell I'm looking at, as I like to say. Probably need to do the floor next, because it's starting to, just so you can get kind of a better idea of what it's looking like. Yeah, it's getting there. We still have to do the stone down here at the bottom. But we're getting there. But anyhow, how long have we been on here? A couple hours? Yeah, we're going to call this one. I said this is going to be a month-long project. It's kind of a big thing to do as my first real test, but we still have the door and window here to do on this small building. This is like a pig pen or something like that. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but and then after we get all that stuff knocked out, we can do the cobblestone here on the bottom. The cobblestone that's here, we're not going to use any grout color in between it, because even if there was grout, which there isn't, it would, with all the mold and stuff, it would end up being dark anyways. So, but this is going to be kind of a brown-based color here. We've got some of these cobblestones here. We've got one here in front of the door as well. All that'll all tie in. And once you start doing that, then that kind of allows you to be able to put, we've got some brick that's down here also that'll be the same color as this other brick up in here and help tie everything together. But this that looks like piles of ash and rubble and stuff like that, that's gonna be mostly, I think, gray color, just because of all the dust and shit. That's what it's gonna turn into. I just lightly dry brushed it a little bit, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I'm pretty happy with it so far. Let's take it a step further and add some folks in here. Of course, it's not going to be really noticeable because we don't have this floor on here yet. The color of the floor isn't there, which is kind of confusing, but we're not going to get that. Great of an idea, but so some of the stuff we're just going to have to wing. Like, for instance, obviously the hallway is too narrow to actually put a figure in some places. So you just have to put like a little marker of where they are in there and then set them off to the side. But I think it's going to be unusual when they're in those type of situations. So But anyhow, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for stopping by.